Hi, my name's Anna Serin. I'm Director of Listings Development with the Canadian Securities Exchange. You're joining us as part of our CSE podcast, The Exchange for Entrepreneurs. I'm joined today by one of our issuers, Rana Vig, who is President and CEO of Blue Lagoon Resources. Thanks for joining us, Rana.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, listen, we're here to have a pretty exciting conversation. You've been listed with the CSE since 2020, is that right?
2019.
2019, longer than I thought. Well, thank you. You've been a great advocate for the CSE, and we love having you listed with us. You have a property up in Smithers. I want to hear all about it, but we're also here on the precipice of some pretty exciting information that happened to you recently. So tell us all about it.
Well, Blue Lagoon Resources is a company that I founded in 2019 and listed on the CSE in July, and ever since, had this idea and this vision of doing a gold-focused company, because I really thought that after all those years, the minerals sector had to come back and rebound, particularly gold. So we found this incredible project called Dome Mountain up in northern British Columbia by Smithers. It's a all year round drive-to project. We can be home in 45 minutes from the site, so which is great. And we have been focusing on that, drilled about 50,000 meters since we got the project, all in with a focus to get into production. I'm an entrepreneur, so my whole thought process is how do we create some sort of cash, which is kind of rare in our industry, right, in the mineral exploration business. So we've been very, very focused on getting this permit for the last almost 5 years. And guess what? Last month we finally got it.
I mean, this is very exciting. So let's maybe just touch on, I think most people that are in our industry understand how difficult it is to get permits. Tell us a little bit about the permitting process.
Well, let me tell you how difficult it is. Okay, so we've been at it for almost 5 years, and we got it last month, as I mentioned. And we're only one of 9 permits that have been granted since 2015. Of those 9, 2 of them were for coal projects. So really only 7 in the last 10 years. So it's a very, very difficult process. I think it's difficult for a number of reasons. One is I don't think that the ministry has enough staff, right? There's so much exploration in British Columbia. So most of the time and resources, I think, are taken up by those applications that are just for exploration, for drilling. So there just isn't enough staff to move the files, forward, and that's been, I think, a challenge with the government. The second part of it is that a number of years ago, they eliminated the small mines sort of division. So now there's only one department, major mines. So whether it's a small project like us that's kind of starting, or a major project with 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 tons a day, it's all treated the same way. Right. So it's that of course delays everything. And I think the third portion is, of course, the First Nations. I think the challenge has been is many of the agreements that are currently in play are quite recent. So both sides aren't quite sure how to navigate through that, which also delays and takes time. So there's just a lot of hoops that you've got to jump through, but we did jump through them, and here we are.
Okay, I have a few questions. So the first one is, typically when an exploration company gets to this place, the whole point is to get here to be able to sell it off to a major. What are your thoughts and hopes about what happens next now that you have this permit?
Well, look, as an entrepreneur, you have to stay open to every opportunity. So there's really 3, paths here, I suppose, or a couple of paths. You sell, you merge, or you acquire. Something, right? So, as we develop and as we do, we have, by the way, without giving away all the information, I mean, there are, of course, conversations that are happening in the background. Yeah. But I think it's too early. We're too cheap. I don't want to give away. We worked very hard to get to here. So, we'll see. Let's get this in production, which will be, by the way, this summer. Yeah. So we're very busy now, just finishing off the last little pieces that we have to do from a technical standpoint, and we are gearing up to be in production by this summer. And cash flowing by August, September. And
it must be a pretty exciting time for you, considering that gold is at an all-time high. I mean, that must affect what happens next for you in the valuation and the opportunity there, right?
Well, that's the silver lining. If we had got permitted,
the golden lining.
The golden lining, exactly. Thank you. If we had permitted a couple of years ago, the prices were, of course, 16, 17, 1800. Now we're 2,900 plus. So we couldn't have hit it any better from timing perspective. Right. So no, we're very excited, and all of those things are going to be making a big impact. And of course, many respected organizations like Goldman Sachs Sachs are predicting that the gold price is going to go even higher.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, we have a very interesting tide right now in the market, so it's definitely quite possible. What are some guidance that you can give? You've obviously been through the permitting process. We have a lot going on across the border with tariffs and imposed tariffs, proposed tariffs, changes daily. But do you think that we're going to start seeing more permitting opportunities come up within Canada in an attempt to start, gearing up our resource sector, or do you think it'll remain the same that it has been?
No, I think if anything positive has come out of this complete chaos, is that it's getting people to think perhaps a little differently and look at things from a different perspective. And I think that's important, because otherwise what happens is, it's like, same old, same old. One government comes in, the next government comes in, whether it's different parties, nothing really changes much. And I think this chaos has created, they say the necessity is the mother of, how does that go?
I don't know, but I know what you mean.
Okay. Right?
Yeah.
Necessity, the mother of invention.
That's right.
So what's happening is that we're forced to relook at everything.
Right.
So I think that's a positive thing. So I think we will see more permitting. We have this incredible resources in this country. But I think the trick is going to be that balance to make sure that we handle the environment properly, we respect the land, we work with the First Nations. So all those things, I think, are going to create tremendous challenges and opportunities in the years ahead.
Okay, so on that note, it just came out at the end of January 2025 that the government is imposing a new veto or extra authoritative right to the First Nations, as far as, I think, everything from mineral titles applications to mining permits. Do you have any thoughts on if that will cause further delays in the permitting process?
Well, I'm sure it will. I mean, it's one more layer that, one more layer of steps that one has to go through. Look, we have to respect that, the First Nations should have a significant right and a significant voice in what happens. I think the trick is going to be that the government should define some clear path, a clear process, working with the First Nations, so that everyone, all the stakeholders have an understanding of exactly what has to happen, 1, 2, 3. And as simple as that, in my opinion.
Yes.
But so hopefully they do lay out some clear process that everyone understands, and then we should be okay. Now, that's a mouthful. Will they do that is the question.
Well, there's a lot of pressure for them to create that process in quick order. Just to finish off, do you have any guidance for our friends in the resource sector? You've gone through the process now. You've probably learned a lot along the way. Any guidance for other people out there that are looking to go down the permitting process?
You want me to give away our secret?
Don't give away your secret.
Look, I think the key is sincerity. Okay. I think that as simple as it sounds, we had two basic sides that we had to show that we meant business. The government doesn't want to have any risk. They want to make sure that under their watch, there isn't some sort of environmental damage or accident, etc. So we had processes to make sure to demonstrate to them that we were sincere, and these are the steps we were taking in order to mitigate, to make sure that that doesn't happen. And the second side is, of course, the First Nations, and you have to make sure that you really are sincere. It's their land. We've acknowledged that. Yeah. So therefore, it can't be just words. Yeah. We have to really demonstrate and show that we are sincere. I'll give you a simple example. Water, of course, is a very, very important piece for them, because of it feeds right, with the salmon. So one of the things that we did is, if we're mandated to do X amount of sites to test, we did X plus. Okay. We did more. Okay. Why? Because we want to make sure we're also concerned. If we are working in that area, we don't want to have any issues. So I think that steps like that shows that the company isn't just trying to save every dollar and maximize profit. They're actually serious about taking care of the area that they're working with.
Right.
So I think sincerity is the key word here.
Well, thank you. That is great advice. Congratulations again. It's very exciting. Obviously, we'll be watching you and what happens next for Blue Lagoon. You did mention that you think in June you'll be up there and getting active to get into the production.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of activities this summer. By June, we're going to have we expect to have all our processes in place.
Amazing.
And by July, we expect to be in production with hopefully the first check arriving
Amazing.
in August.
Love it, love it. Where can we find more information about Blue Lagoon, Rana?
Well, you can go to our website to www.bluelagoonresources.com. Of course, we're a CSE, proudly CSE listed company and our symbols BLOG.
Amazing. Thank you, Rana.
Thank you.